All right, good morning. Welcome to Educators Drinking Coffee. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I think we should be live now. Good morning. Welcome to Educators Drinking Coffee. And actually, my headphones. So busy trying to get other things, just in case. All right, hopefully you all can hear me. You don't hear too much of an echo. This is Educators Drinking Coffee. It's Monday morning. It's here in the Outer Banks. It's a rainy morning. We got a tropical storm. Arthur, probably just to our south, probably somewhere between Florida and Georgia this morning. Hopefully people make it out. This is like adding insult to injury. We're finally able to, for the most part, in a lot of these eastern states or southeastern states, go out to the beach, and we have the first tropical storm. So it's crazy. So today, let me begin by welcoming everybody again. Today's coffee is called La Florida. This coffee comes actually from just the outskirts of Medellin. It's I don't want to call it a suburb, but it used to be a little town. Now Medellin is so big it's connected, but it's called Sabaneta. It's probably about southwest from Medellin, Colombia, and it's probably only like 10 miles away. But when you drive there, it seems like it takes forever. So this one's again, it's very smooth. Medellin, it's not. I mean, Medellin is not known for the coffee. This one pretty much is about as close as you can get, and it's really good. I guess once you get to the outskirts, that coffee starts growing. You need altitude and everything, shade. But it's really good. It feels like it's even smoother than last week's, the ones I've been drinking, the Café Sello Rojo. So this is a small, I guess, more privately owned coffee farm, but it's really good. Unfortunately, you cannot buy it here. I did bring it. I try to bring kind of unique ones from Colombia. I'm going to see next time, see if I can get some more. All right, so this morning, it's a slow morning, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've learned so far. So any of you out there, I know it's early in the morning, let me know what you've learned so far. I guess I'll give you my perspective as an administrator. I think I realize, this is me just speaking, that I can't, to do this, we got to put the time to really research the best strategies, online strategies, because I think what we've kind of thought that face-to-face strategies would just automatically work when we went virtual, and it didn't quite work that way. So we need to really analyze as we're kind of getting here towards the end of the year, and look at lessons learned. So when we begin in the fall, however that may be, we're in a much better place. So I would like to hear, I know there's only a few of us, but what you've learned so far as far as teaching remotely. Trying to think, I know for me, like I said, we got to do our due diligence. We got to do the research. I mentioned on this broadcast about talking to community colleges who have been doing this. I mean, universities who have been doing this for years. How do they look to begin an online course? How do they evaluate its effectiveness? That's the other thing too. How do we move forward? How do we make sure that these are quality courses, I guess, we're providing online? The North Carolina Virtual Public School does online. So I think maybe they should be kind of the guiding force between this. So, the other thing is, delving more into the building level. For us, I think setting up, specific, and some school districts do it, the live sessions. I do think that's, I don't want to say easy because nothing's easy, but I think elementary lends itself a little bit more than high school. And I say that because the elementary teachers at times teach all four core subject areas. Sometimes you have team teaching and stuff like that, but in general, elementary teachers, will teach the 4 core subject areas. When you come to high school, and you have 4 different teachers. At least we're on a block schedule. And when you have 6 or 7, that's a whole different ballgame. And I say about that is because I'm talking about trying to create live sessions. That's been one of my biggest pushes, has been meeting with kids live. I think it's awesome. I mean, as some of you join in the mornings and see me talking live, and you make a comment and respond, it's cool. It's hey, you're paying attention to me. So thinking about those live sessions in elementary, when you have one teacher for 25, hopefully not, but 30 students, you can set a live session for a specific period of time, 2 hours, every day or a couple times a week or once a week, and all the kids can kind of join in. When you teach at the high school level or sometimes middle school, not only do you only teach that one kid one time, but you also have 3 other classes or 5 other classes that you got to do. So your virtual times, you're going to have a lot of spots. So then how do you multiply with all the students and all the teachers? If I'm a math teacher and I'm doing my live session from 8 to 9, let's say, and I have Johnny, but then we have 50 or so teachers, there's only so many slots during the day that you can have live sessions. So somebody's going to have a live session at the same time from 8 to 9. And if I have Johnny too for, let's say, biology, how do we split his time? So that makes it a little bit more complicated. But I do think those are, it may not be all the time, but you do have from time to time those overlaps. Buenos días, madre. That's my mom just coming in like every morning. Appreciate her. This morning I'm broadcasting from here, from one of my other rooms that we have here. And it's just trying this out now. Hopefully let me know how my voice comes out. Right now I know it's pretty deep. But anyways, still trying to wake up. Today's been a slow day with the rain. I think it hasn't helped. I will say, just talk a little bit of the program coming in the rest of the week. We do have MSgt Mitchell Coffey from my school, Pasco County High School, coming in tomorrow. Talk a little bit about. He is one of our Air Force JROTC instructors. So welcome him tomorrow. Good morning, Mr. Tripp. Thank you for stopping by. And we'll talk about the program. We'll also talk about what how we're going to make up because we've created gaps this year. Good morning, Ms. Crutch. I got to get you in somehow soon in this morning, but we got to talk about how do we make up the gaps from this year, from March till now. So that's going to be interesting talking to him. On Wednesday, I have a cool perspective. I have a international teacher from Costa Rica, Susana Lopez-Hodges. We actually worked together a few years here in the U.S. And she has an interesting story about the day that they became virtual. And I want her to share her thoughts and about this whole process. And sometimes we don't realize how lucky we have it here in the U.S., but compared to how they have it in other countries. On Thursdays, I hope to have a good morning, Miss Kennedy. Good morning. Oh, you've enjoyed these. Good. You can start your admin program. That's awesome. And my biggest suggestion is relationships. You using your position to have folks do stuff for you doesn't work. You got to build relationships and feel like you're all on the same common ground, same purpose, and then you can move mountains. And then that Thursday, hopefully I can speak to a colleague of mine, former colleague, about her perspective. Morning, Alan. How you doing? What's up? Thank you for joining me. That's another one. I would actually like to get your perspective, if you get an opportunity, Alan, on a coach's perspective. Alan is a tremendous teacher, and I always say he's a tremendous teacher first, but an awesome coach too. And talk about relationships. He is one that definitely builds relationships with his colleagues, but his athletes. I think if just about any athlete were to stop by here, they would talk about Alan Wooten's relationships that he builds with his students and his athletes. Praise him for that. And Ms. Kennedy, thank you. I appreciate it. I tried. I think that's probably I'd say the strength of mine is the relationship piece. Sometimes it slows things down, but I appreciate it. I think to me, we couldn't do it without relationships. I always say, I hate using the word business, but it is a people business, and it's how you forge ahead. And then my last one on Friday, I have another one. Actually, Miss Uvonda Willis is going to join me. She's an assistant principal in Greene County, and we're going to talk about an admin's perspective, which I'm talking a little bit about today, but I won't talk too much about that. I'll wait that for Friday. Good way to kick off the weekend. Coach Wooten, virtual coaching is tough. I can't imagine, man. Meeting twice a week through Zoom. Huddle has been okay. Now, when you talk about meeting twice a week, is that with your staff or with your athletes? It'd be interesting. I can tell you that I'm getting off tangent here, but when I began my career, morning, Mr. Harrell, how you doing? Good to see you this morning. When I started, and actually I'll go back to a little story about Alan Wooten, and I hope you don't mind me talking, but him and I, another person that kind of stops by in the mornings, Amanda Morris, we all kind of started in Pitt County together at the same school in North Pitt. And I would say I was young back then, but good group of young coaches joined in at North Pitt, and we had a really good time, good bond. And a previous coach kind of started the ball rolling on the soccer program at North Pitt. So I was lucky enough to actually begin the program with a lot of help. Alan and his brother Brent, Morris, Amanda, and other coaches that were there really helped me round up some soccer players because it was hard. My wife sometimes complained about the time that I spent at work with practice. And I always told her, I said, be glad I'm not a football coach because you guys meet all the time. And Sunday evenings, I'm sorry, man, I couldn't do that. The best I could do for football was filming Alan. I love the time that I was filming for you guys. Let me see. So you meet with student athletes, but they're all in my fourth period weightlifting class. Good. I see them all the time. Okay, that's good, man. I mean, you guys have a really good program there. I know you're going to do, and you're doing tremendous things, man. Well deserved. And it's a lot of hard work. I've seen you, at least from the time that you began there in North Pitt, where you're at now. As I said, you put in your dues to become a head football coach. Good things. Going back to the lessons learned, we got to think about our athletes. That is something that got me through high school. At times, I guess for me, you're Hispanic, Colombian, whatever, you played soccer. I really didn't pick up soccer till I was probably close to middle school. Ended up being fairly good. Wouldn't say I was the best, but I was fairly good. And then I dabbled into football when I got into high school. And I know some of you didn't know how big I am or lack of. So you play football? I did. I played football. I was, of course, the kicker, the punter. And then I also played free safety at times. I said at times because my senior year I just kicked and punted, and then I decided we were so bad I only kicked off once, and then tried 3 field goals throughout the year. So I said I want to get on the field a little bit more. So coach put me at free safety. I figured I couldn't do much damage back there, but it's fun. But it's a lot of work. But yeah, we got to think about our athletes, because that is something that gets you through the year, through the day, through the week, whatever it is. And, it's, I don't know. It's crazy. And Alan, I hope, and I think with also my athletic director who was here a few weeks ago, Barlow, I know there's meetings coming up trying to figure out how things are going to look. I'm sure schedule's going to be a lot smaller this year. I know sometimes the problem is the physical contact you guys have, but I think about sometimes when you guys play the 7-on-7. I mean, I hate to do something like that, but I don't know if that's a possibility. But that's just me not being a football guy. I guess soccer would be the same thing, But yeah, we got to look at that. We got to look at how, if as we move forward, is everything going to be virtual, or are we going to have a hybrid, a blended model, and how that's going to look. Let me see what Ms. Kennedy says here. Just started the FA program January 22nd. I can't imagine starting a program this year. Also, all opportunities really introduce the kids. Yeah. Google's been a blessing. Canvas has been a blessing. It's been a lot of learning really quick. And my suggestion with that is just, again, pick a few. I think we talked about this last time, and become pretty efficient with it. And many times you can figure out ways to do other things. Something that I've that one of my colleagues has done is something called, I think, Crowd Per. It's like a trivia game that you can play. It's really neat. It's got some questions already made. I think it's Crowd Per, I believe, so it's called. It's something interesting you could do with your kids. Just check it out, test it out. I actually, this weekend, I've mentioned this before. On Fridays, we have kind of like, what is that called? Anyways, our staff, we kind of meet together and we do trivia and a happy hour. And so a couple of weeks ago, I had like a nighttime happy hour with my close friends back from Florida, Colombia, and my brother and stuff like that. And we did it one Saturday evening. It was awesome. So this weekend I said, you know what? I'm going to add a trivia. And luckily I did the trivia, and the trivia was about Colombia. I can tell you I would have failed the test. I think out of 10 questions, I would have only gotten one question right, and that's bad. But I've been raised here most of my life, so maybe there's still no excuse. So, but anyways, the Crowd Per, and then you go to Crowd Live and you log on. It's really easy and it's really fun. Questions. I know they have a free version. Like I said, it gives you 10 questions, and that may be all you want to do with students. You wouldn't want to do we do as a staff with the happy hour. I think we do like 70 questions, which is quite a bit. But with students, you always want to chunk things, especially during this virtual time. You don't want to do things very long. So thinking about the students, the blended model, because we really got to be able to realize that we don't know exactly how it's going to look come August. We could be like this. We could be back in the classroom. We could be in school one day, school out the next day. I don't know. Everything's going to be determining how our environment around us kind of progresses. But so we've got to be prepared. And that's why I think as we're coming here to the end, reflect, be honest with yourself. With the times that you do have kids with you, and if you're doing live sessions, what are you doing with them? I mean, I think, the excuse can be they're not logging on. Okay, that's one issue that we have to tackle. But once you have them, how do you engage them? And I think we have to look at ourselves. And Ms. Kennedy, you're talking about, going to administration and things like that. Or I know I've told Alan to do so. But I think with his success in football, probably says, nah, not for me. I can tell you when I interview somebody for a job, and if I'm able to ask a question, if you give a test and 50% of them fail, where do you go from there? And one way or about that I want to hear is I want that teacher to say, hey, I got to think about it. If I only reach 50% of my students, it's on me. That's the reality. So think about that, Ms. Kennedy. Good morning, Ms. Norman. You want folks that are going to be reflective on their teaching practice and be honest with their reflection, because until then, you're not going to get any better. We kid ourselves sometimes. Sometimes when, you get these surveys and they ask your honest opinion or, how you've done this. But there'd be times where I just feel like, okay, this is how I thought it was supposed to be. But sometimes you got to be honest with you, and it's brutal. It brings out the weakness in us, and that's something that a lot of us don't like. But if you're taking this as a serious profession, those teachers that are successful do that. Good morning, Mr. Navarro. Thank you for joining us. I guess 8 o'clock is too early for you, so you join us at about 8:20 with about 9 minutes left. But that's okay. That's okay. Just so you know, this coffee is called La Florida. And no, it doesn't come. It means the Florida. Florida means coming from the word flor, meaning flower. It actually comes from the outskirts of Medellin. These are actually brown. I do have. That's another set that I have. The La Florida coffee comes from the outskirts of Medellin, a town called Sabaneta. Don't quote me wrong, but I want to say we might have lived there briefly when I was a little Castillo, but I'm not quite sure. But it's really good, actually. This is my first time trying it. It's a small coffee farm, and it's actually got an email address. I have to figure out if I don't think at these times that they, I guess ship, but I'm gonna have to find out. If anybody's interested, I'll put in the email address here. No, it doesn't come from Florida. It comes from Sabaneta. Like I said, it's on southwest part of Medellin. I would call it a suburb, but Wooten, so we say, I think the social emotional support right now is the most difficult through virtual teaching. The content piece is quite easy. I agree, and that's the part that I don't know. I feel at times like we didn't think about off the bat, the social emotional piece, and the kids who already had some issues. I think this just amplified it. In the last week, we had kids coming in, clean out their lockers. And one of my first questions, I asked them, hey, are you ready to get back? And I was surprised that not all of them were I was really thinking most of them would say, yes, I'm ready to come back. I'm tired of staying at four walls. But some of them were like, no, I like it. This is good. So I think some of them are thriving. But there's definitely some underlying issue there with some of them. And it's hard to reach them because we don't see them. Body language, facial expressions say so much. And when we don't have them in front of us, it's hard to help them. If you knew there was an underlying issue prior to going to virtual or remote learning, then it's easy to kind of check up on them and make sure. But there's still so many kids in our schools that they just go under the radar. And that's what's scary too. Whatever the issue. And I know we want to help. Is that a centipede game behind me? Hang on. Yes, that is technically, well, it used to be my brother Diego's centipede. That thing weighs like 300 pounds. Of course, I can lift it, but no problem. No, but I nearly threw my back trying to move that thing. It was my brother's. We actually traded it for a washer to an old friend of ours, Sky. And now it needs a little TLC now, but it's mine now. Diego can't say it's his. if it's his, he would have it at his house. So I have it here in North Carolina. Yeah, you do have, Miss Kennedy, you have to do check-ins weekly, and for the kids that you know that need that special attention, try to set those one-on-ones, because that's key. That's key for them. And again, from a distance, we do the best we can, and there's nothing like face-to-face. So I think they're going to be more appreciative when they come back. I think they're going to be doing well. And then once they, hopefully everything comes back to normal, then we'll start having some of those same issues we had before, but no problem. But I think in the short run, will be kids glad to be at school. And teachers coming to school and everything. So I'm super excited. Question about my Southern Maine Huskies. I've actually been lucky enough to go to Portland, Maine on several occasions to visit from vacation. And one thing I started doing this year is like places that I go to, I buy their college t-shirts just to promote college. So this is Southern Maine Huskies. I know it's backwards. But if you want to see it the right way, you can go to my YouTube there on Educators Drinking Coffee. It's a neat little campus there. And so that's what if you notice, usually when the mornings, you'll see me wearing different kind of colleges. And I'm not looking for, I do wear some big universities, but for the most part, I try to look at colleges. I went to Rav Community College. I just wasn't ready for university. Yes, I've had the lobster roll. It is delicious. Gosh, it was there in Portland. I can't remember. It's like an old diner. I'm sure you've been to Portland, Maine with your fishing. It's an old diner on the towards the southern end of the port there. And it was delicious. I don't know if my wife is watching. She might remember the place we went for the lobster roll. So we also did a sunset cruise there on one of those boats. I don't know what they're called, man. But it reminds me of like the boat from Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas. The one he has at the end. And trying to think anything else here. Yeah. But yeah, we do that. Like I said, the check-ins. I've been also, Miss Kennedy, something that I do from time to time. I'm not teaching anymore, but there's a few students that I've taken a real liking to, as far as just being supportive there, and they seek me out at school, and I send them video messages, and many times with my staff I send funny ones. I've done some with like the baby face and a funny voice, but for some kids I just want to make sure they recognize me, even though I have more hair, but it's still not enough hair. I send it like you see me today. But send them funny messages too. Just keep them appropriate, and they'll appreciate that. Give them a good laugh. We can't take ourselves too seriously. I'll tell you. I'll go back to Alan Wooten. Like I said, we've known each other now since about 2004. So he knows I don't take myself seriously. Alan, I don't know if you're still here, but I'll tell you a quick story. God, I don't know what year it was when I was coaching soccer, but we had a pep rally, and it was we were trying to do some fun activity. So they told me like about 30 minutes, hey, will you be willing to? Oh, you still have my baby face video? Yeah, it was funny, man. I had to do it that one day. But the way it was is we had an banana eating contest, and I tell the stars aligned that day for them, because I had not eaten breakfast. It was around lunchtime, and I love bananas, and so the thing was we had to eat as many bananas like in a minute, blindfolded. So they put me, I remember Alan being next to me, Coach Butler, and a few others, and they blindfolded us, and they said, on the count of 3, eat as many bananas. And before we started, Alan, who's next to me, he's like, I can't remember what he says. Like, I don't like bananas, or I was already full. Coach Butler, he said one of the opposite things, the same thing. Either I don't like bananas or I'm full. And fish. But anyway, so they said 3, 2, 1, go, and I started eating, man, and I was chomping away at those bananas like crazy, and I'm like, I think my only 2 people competition was Coach Ron Butler or Alan Wooten, and I'm like, I am killing it here. I'm eating bananas, and all of a sudden I noticed I started hearing my soccer players a little closer than all the rest of the kids, because it was in front of the whole school, and I'm shoving down bananas, da, 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 da. And then I hear 3, 2, 1, open, let's see who won. And I came to realize that I was the only one eating. When they started the game, everybody else unfolded. Coach Bull was there too. I think he's the one that set up the whole thing, football coach. And I was the only one eating bananas. And it was hilarious. They got me. Like I said, never took myself seriously. It was, all the kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So, but you know, we have to have fun with ourselves and not take each other seriously. I'll talk about another really quickly. We're coming up here to the end. Just funny stories, and maybe that's what I'm gonna do one day. Just talk about funny stories at school. One day we got a new secretary at Greene Central High School, and we gave her a list of duties. And one thing, people who know me, I lose my keys all the time. So principal told me, write her list of duties, and at the end I put find Juan's keys. She was like, what are you talking about? Like, you'll find out. So that first day in the afternoons, we'd always make afternoon announcements. So right before she had her announcements, I threw her a last minute list. I said, I need to see these students immediately. So I literally put Chris, P. Bacon, Donkey Kong, and a few others like Anita Hug. And she started rambling, and I had a list of about 10 kids like that. She started listing them over the PA system. Elizabeth, if this gets to you, I'm sorry, but I just had to do it that day. And anyway, so she started reading. By the time she started getting to the 4th one, I think she realized these are made up names. You remember that? Oh, the cotton balls in my car. People also who know me knows I cannot. When I think of cotton, it freaks me out. There's something about the sensation of cotton that I can't. And one day, the true honest story is, I think I had the flu. I was so sick. I was about to go on vacation, and these people filled my car with cotton balls. And I mean, I had to leave so we can go to the airport, and it was just, oh man, it was hilarious. But as you dish, you got to take it. So I appreciate that. I mean, that's helped my experience throughout my years. So, you know, you may not want to go that far, Ms. Kennedy, with some of the things I've done. You got to make sure they still treat you seriously, but you still got to have fun. So in wrapping this up, make sure, yeah, I do miss that too. And I'm able to do it where I'm at now. You know, you got to time it right. You got to do things, but reflect on, you know, and lessons learned this year, what you're going to do. If there was something you really liked, but it hasn't been going. And I always tell every teacher, you know, if you want to try new things, by all means do it, but really take a look at its effectiveness. And if it doesn't work, don't give up on it. See what can you do to revise it. Ask input from your students, whatever it may be. So look at what you've been doing this time during remote learning. See what you can change up. See what you can add, and talk to others. One thing I think this has brought about is I know a lot of you have been reading stuff online. Keep reading. Read articles. I refer here at Edutopia Live. It's not the end all be all. It's just one that I like. Ed Week. All these. Just read articles. You know, things being published, Washington News, whatever. But do all that. Yeah, survey would be great. Talk to your kids. That's a great idea. Survey your kids. How can I have made this experience a little better for you this year? And take that, and don't, sometimes it hurts our egos, and that's okay, because you're doing it because of them. That's the most important thing. So at the end of the day, that's why we do this. It's not because of me. We should do things because it's easy for me to do, but it's because what's best for them. So anyways, I appreciate all of you stopping by this morning. Tomorrow, like I said, I have Master Sergeant Coffey from Pasco County High School talking about how we're going to kind of catch kids up next year from all this remote learning. We know it hasn't been the same. So join me tomorrow, Educators Drinking Coffee. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care, guys.